Hello, this is Brittany Ballou, and today I'm going to be presenting to you about the Big Seven ideas. So quickly, I'm just going to go over what the Big Seven ideas are. And this is a short video, it's about a minute long, of students describing in a private school environment what computational thinking is.
Technology is not neutral on its impact of people and culture. God shows us His creativity in the birds and in us, and we're made in His image, therefore we are truly made to be creative.
You would think of abstraction as a broad concept of a bunch of different things, but in actuality it's cutting down to just the basics.
Data is like a single test score, where information is taking all those test scores together to compose a class average, which is the information.
An algorithm is like a recipe. It's a set of instructions step by step to tell you how to do something.
Programming is a creative element that helps you express creativity and problem solving.
The internet. I hope you know how to use it because you're watching this video on it, and it's built for collaboration.
We need to make conscious decisions on how our use of technology doesn't just affect us, but others around the globe.
And that quickly describes the Big Seven ideas that are the basis of computational thinking. So next, we're going to go through each one of the Big Seven ideas and describe it, and then list out a couple of different lesson plans that you can use in a variety of your classes. I've listed just a couple on each slide for different sections of courses. However, there are multiple others, and we'll get to that in the resources slide, so feel free to go off on your own and find some, but I just put on a couple just to not overwhelm everyone. So for creativity, computing is a creative activity. Creativity and computing are prominent forces in innovation. The innovations enabled by computing have and had to continue to have a far-reaching impact. So in music class, there's a lesson plan using Earsketch to create a new song or to remix an old one. An Earsketch is a great way to involve students in your music classes in programming, or maybe students in programming classes in music. Social studies or media class. This lesson goes over ethics and data manipulation and how companies take licenses and use them so that they can manipulate data. And this also goes over, more for the media classes, the different types of licenses that you can have for your information. And again, both of those lesson plans, if you'd like to learn more, are linked below. Abstraction. Abstraction reduces information and detail to facilitate and focus on relevant concepts. So in English class, it's finding patterns in spelling errors in history. So they go through different texts and readings and try to find patterns in the errors. And that lesson plan is right here. For business teachers, we have this lesson. Students will conduct a small amount of research to explore computing and innovation that leverages the use of our data. So this can be used in several different classes too. This could also be used in a math class, but they're exploring the way that data can be leveraged to get results that they want. And again, that lesson plan is right here. Data and information. And this lesson is for humanities, math, and science. Students will be introduced to a topic of diversity about computational problems and learn about and discuss the proliferation and algorithms in society and reflect upon the quality of input data and small, sometimes unintended biases that can lead to low quality solutions. So this can really be used in a math class, but in any humanities class where you're doing research, you can talk about and use this lesson plan to talk about unintended bias in research and how that can lead to not great outcomes for your students. And the lesson plan for that is also right here. And this would also be really useful in a science class as well. Another business lesson plan is students will look at the Pew Research and examine the digital divide. Now, the digital divide is something that affects all students, so this could be used in multiple classes, even in an English class, if you're wanting students to do a research paper on the digital divide. And the lesson plan for that is right there. This would also be a great one for a social studies class or any humanities class where students are talking about how across different demographic groups technology access is different. All right, algorithms. Algorithms are used to develop and express solutions to computational problems. So this first lesson plan I put for math, but it can really be used in any course. And a lot of the lesson plans that are for algorithms lean towards math classes. For this activity, no instructions are provided. Instead, students will use examples of what imaginary players have done to figure out the game. Now, this is a C code.org lesson plan, and it is right here. And students have to figure out what these different players are doing based upon these mathematical algorithms. So that's why I said it was for a math class, but this could really be a brain teaser or a bell ringer for any class where you're working on some sort of a project. And music. This is where students work with recognizing patterns, and they modify an algorithm to improve the quality of music by using a pencil code program. So again, it's finding those patterns in music, which most music teachers will tell you there are a lot of patterns, which is why music lends itself so nicely to math. All right. Next, we have programming. Programming enables problem solving and human expression and creation of knowledge. So this first lesson is for science. Give an in-depth example of how computer science is used to solve hard problems, in this case of genomic medicine. And this is actually a video that you can incorporate into any class and base a lesson around, but it is not a full lesson plan. However, I watched the video and I found it very interesting as someone who's not very interested in science class. So I would highly recommend this science video for any type of biology or class where you're talking about genomic medicine. Business. Students will learn about various cybersecurity and risks of the internet, including lack of fundamental DNS security and common security attacks, and the basic concepts of cryptography. And the lesson plans for that are right here. And this is really great for any students who are just learning about internet safety, building upon that into this for a more advanced activity, so students are learning more than they did in previous courses. Okay, next we have the internet. And the internet pervades modern computing. The internet is everything, and a lot of your students use it on a daily basis. So it's a really important topic to discuss in all of our classes. English. Read portions of the memo entitled "The Internet is for Everyone" and "Call to Arms," which highlights the benefits of free and open internet and identifies threats to the system. And the lesson plan for that is right here, and it involves students then, after reading that memo, finding a threat to the internet and looking into it and researching its potential for actually occurring and the biases for it. And this would make a really great informative research paper for an English class. And then social studies. Students integrate cybersecurity concepts of confidentiality, integrity, availability, and social engineering into an in-class research project or presentation on electronic voting. And the lesson plan for that is also included. And just remember, if you're not seeing your class up here a lot, do remember that the resources at the end will be very helpful for you, so you are able to go look up your own lesson plan that you feel most fits the needs of your class. Global impact. Computing has a global impact. And I have two lesson plans, one for any class and one for social studies and humanities. And students will examine how communications and technologies and discuss ways in which computing affects our ability to build a community. So this is really great for any class, particularly discussion on how the internet impacts our ability to communicate with each other. And that could really be, this lesson plan could really be modified to fit a lot of the humanities classes, it really fits best in a social studies class. However, it would go well in any course you teach. Any class, an accordion-style exercise that can be done repeatedly throughout the semester in which students try to tell a summarized real news story from one that is fake news, using what they know about data management and computer science, and describe its social impact. And here's a video of that lesson being performed, but really you could have students pick any topic that relates to fake news and have them trying to discover what news story is actually fake. And in English, that could be used to help students identify credible sources. In social studies, you could use it to show students how real fake news can actually look. In science class, you could pick topics related to science and do the same type of concept. But really, it's just showing students how fake news has a global impact and how finding it on the internet and deciphering whether it's real or fake can be quite difficult sometimes. And then here's some resources for educators, and I'm going to go over these in a little bit of detail. Teaching the lesson plan. This first one is a lesson plan database, which is really great. The thing with the Teaching Global Impact site is most of the lesson plans are geared towards computer science classes. However, if you search, you can search by one of the big 7 ideas and pick a lesson that fits within that category that you can modify to fit in your classroom. The next one that's really great is Google Resources, and that's linked right here, and it's a lesson plan database. It also has a course on computational thinking, which I highly encourage you all to look into, but it has lesson plans for specific subjects as well, which is great because it's a little bit more broad than the Teaching Global Impact. And Code.org, even though it's a coding site, does have a ton of resources for all types of classes, and you can use specific lesson plans for that class to figure out, or you can pull lesson plans from that specific course for your individual classes. UTeachCS has additional lesson plans and resources, many of which I've used in this paper, but it also has additional lesson plans and resources. And CS Unplugged, if you don't have a mobile lab or students don't have computers in your room, provides resources that students do not need computers to complete for a variety of classes. Again, it is geared towards computer science, but you can use this in a math, science class very, very easily and adapt them to your needs. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. Oh, sorry. Here are my references. Thank you for listening to my presentation.